In here, we've got to have the second session of the day, and that's going to be with Aidan Connor, who is Digital Product and Data Director at Bulk, the leading supplier of sports nutrition and supplements. Please give Aidan a warm welcome, everyone.
Hands up, everyone who's having a good time so far today. We'll try and fill some time in here. No one's fully. Put your hands up, come on. There we go, right, brilliant. Right, so let's go for it. So my name's Aidan Connor. I am the Digital Product and Data Director at Bulk. So for those of you who don't know who Bulk is, we are one of the world's fastest growing sports nutrition brands. So I did have a quote. Oh, here we go. Bang, it's turned up. Yes, there's me. Here's me. So, Bulk is committed to creating world-class nutrition for every step of your journey. So what does that really mean? So obviously it means implied is fitness journey, I guess, but then also for a lot of our segments there are other things such as kind of like the nutrition replacement, things like that, which they also look to us for. But as you can see from the pictures that I've chosen here, our core audience is predominantly the kind of that focus gainer, that gym goer, that active athlete, and that is our heritage in terms of our customer base over the last nearly actually 20 years. Right, so buzzwords. So what we're talking about today, should have covered that off, we missed the first slide, didn't we, is how to deliver transformation and change at pace. So obviously AI, good buzzword recently. We've also had blockchain in the last few years. We've also had, everyone remember that, when everyone's like got the JFDI from CEO going, why have we not got an app yet? Direct to consumer, very relevant to everybody in the room here today. You know, like a lot of brands who went suddenly, probably maybe like 6-7 years ago, it's like, why are we not direct to consumer? And also, an old buzzword, which is even website. I remember the times when I would walk into businesses and the website was this long forgotten thing that maybe they got like a handful of pages done and then suddenly they're like, wow, this thing could actually work for us. It could actually deliver value. So when we think about the pace of change and transformation, actually the reality of it is that innovation has been happening for a lot longer than technology has. So what do all of these have in common? And why are they connected? Well, when we have transformation and we have emerging tech, which is obviously what drives all these buzzwords, is we have this small intersection, and this is where the sexy projects come from. So sexy projects, but often they are just solutions. They're just tools to solve business problems. So it's important to know that not every business problem needs a tech solution. And this puts me in mind of a story that actually my university lecturer many years ago told me about, which was when they were in the space race in the 1960s. And the Russians and the Americans, they're obviously trying to get to space first, spending as much or as little as they had on doing this. And they needed a solution for how they would be able to write in space. The Americans spent an absolute fortune on writing, on being able to make a biro that does not require gravity. The Russians used a pencil. So in this way, this business problem did not strictly business yet. Well, it is now with SpaceX, I guess, but anyway. But every tech solution needs a business problem. And actually, when we think back about the sexy projects, if we think about this in a different way, which is we have a level of emerging tech. If it's not benefiting our customers, or the intersection between the emerging tech and the customers is too small, then what we end up with is vanity projects. And actually, the reality of it is that this creates a conflict between the individual and the business benefits. So then what you'll start to find, and we'll discuss this in a second later, is that actually the benefit from the individual, it does not actually, it's never mind conflict, it just doesn't align, because the sexy projects are what gets you that next role, what you can talk about on stage, whatever. But essentially, if you give in to vanity projects, it means that your technology strategy, or your innovation strategy is essentially powered by FOMO, which will sound like common sense, but that's a horrific place to be in. But we've all been there, where, oh, competitor's got an app, what are we going to do about it? Competitor's got a new website, what are we going to do about it? So you have to look to your own internal business problems. You know, in the best case, they were solving a business problem. In the worst case, what they were doing is just breeding more and more FOMO. Then everyone ends up with an app, and I feel like I'm picking on apps. I don't mean to do that, by the way. Anybody who does apps, I apologize. But, so what this does is it drives an incorrect direction for positive innovation, because it's not solving business problems, it's not helping achieve growth. So none of what I have talked about actually connects in with has connected in with the title of the presentation. How did I manage to do that? Well, it's because we're segueing back now, and we're going to move, so we're going to look at moving transformation and innovation at pace. So what I want to run through with you is a handful of kind of do's and don'ts that I've found over the last, I would say, probably roughly 10 years since moving out of straight-up implementation into transformation and innovate, or kind of what we call coolly term innovative transformation. We started drinking already. So making decisions at pace. Light going off. Right, I'll have to shout. Oh, it's back. Great. So making decisions at pace with positive change culture. So what's really, really important if you're going to try and deliver innovation at pace, and this is one for the managers, for the senior management, but also for the junior staff as well, is that if there is, oh, thank you very much. Double mic feels special. That makes a difference. So business units accountable for results. What do I mean by this? So essentially, if through change, and we talk about these vanity projects, and this is how we really try and protect ourselves against vanity projects, is that actually if we make sure that the business unit, i.e. if it's an e-commerce site, you want to get a new site done, whatever it is, then the e-com trading team are held accountable for the results. When you've got somebody in the tech team, typically tech team, but could be another team, who will then sort of say, oh, we need to do this thing, it's going to be amazing, it's the next best thing, and it's this vanity project, then someone goes, okay, business case, what's the incremental benefit? And say, oh, it's 10%, it's $1 million, whatever, da, da, da. So then somebody else in the business who is ultimately responsible for that has to take ownership for that benefit. So what that does is that means that actually you can still drive change. You get this really kind of positive culture around suggesting change, but what you're not doing is getting it through a macro funnel. So the next thing is then you need to, and I've put tech teams here, but actually as I was practicing this on the train down this morning, I kind of felt to myself that I should have just written teams, but teams need to be empowered to be bold. So in both kind of sides of the team, in the top orange box there, you have the tech team or the innovation team, and then you also have the business unit. So one is accountable for the suggestion, the other is accountable for the result. So actually, in both cases, neither team are going to be sat there thinking of really cutting edge, really emerging technology, really innovative ideas if they're thinking, God, if there's even 10% chance this doesn't work and that 10% comes off, I'm done, I've lost my job. There cannot be a culture of like, there's no such thing, you have to breed, there's no such thing as failure, it's only learnings, you need to be able to fail fast and continue. So they are two massive parts of any change culture, and creating that empowering, I don't know what the word was. I did actually have notes for all these slides, by the way, so that's interesting. No more big bang. So obviously, because of this, what's really interesting when we start to look at the nature of change is actually, if we look at the concept of those big bang transformations, in my opinion, they are not conducive to innovation at pace. And the reason for this ultimately is because the bigger the project, the harder it is to document it. The harder it is to document it, the harder it is to implement because there's too many outstanding questions, elongated timescales. You can't then properly plan how long the project's even going to take because there's too many questions about it. So what you should do is set yourself, or the organization should set themselves achievable, meaningful goals, which not only are able to be properly scoped, properly planned for, and also have a level of accuracy towards the project planning and timelines, but also actually, if it turns out not to be the right idea and doesn't deliver the benefits, then, as it says in the same point, we can still put it in the bin. And you haven't spent $1 million, you've only spent 100K, or you haven't spent 100K, you've only spent 10K, however the maths works out. And again, you know, the concept of a whole business transformation is a very powerful thing, but it should always be cut down into these manageable chunks so that at every stage it's repeat, review, renew, and make sure that it's delivering on the promises that it said it was going to do, and you don't end up in this kind of, we'll call it like a big bowl of soup or spaghetti, you know, trying to pray your way out of a project. So, innovation with 4 Ps. So, innovation is not always tech-led. So as I mentioned before, and as we kind of see within, ironically, for a sports nutrition presentation, I'm going to use a McDonald's example for this, but McDonald's in I believe the 50s, don't quote me on that, what they did is they started to really look at, they pretty much invented the drive-through. They rearranged their entire kitchen from a standard kitchen, kind of restaurant kitchen layout, into something that had a process which was all based around efficiency, because they realized that actually their problems within their business came from a lack of efficiency. It was causing queues, it was causing customer upset, and it wasn't ultimately, as we saw before with those circles, delivering customer benefit. And kind of within the scope of this change, I believe actually they did innovate through tech in a way, just not digital tech like we were. It's kind of the grills, they invent things like that. So when we think about the 4 Ps, and those who've seen me present before will know that I talk about these a lot, is ultimately that there is a level of innovation for people. So, you know, that might be that you bring in more specialist resource, that might be that you bring in better training, but it also may be just that you have then this empowerment of change. And if you're not going to be willing to change or adapt, either change your people, change how you treat your people, or change the culture around your people, then ultimately this is going to be a detractor from a success of innovation. Process, obviously massively important. The bigger and the more complicated the thing that you're trying to achieve, whether it be something that is over a long period of time or short, process is the key to, and kind of getting methodologies and a regular cadence of delivery and you know, thoroughness around quality assurance and things like that will ultimately, again, be a detractor if it is not something that is within your plan and something that your teams have very, very good visibility on. So, next one is product. And actually, this is a really interesting one, because a lot of the time you have to look at your product. So the innovation gets driven through product a lot. And we might talk about this in terms of the software companies that we're all customers of, as they've moved from the on-prem to in private cloud into SaaS and PaaS, and this is them continually adapting their products through innovation. And then finally we have platform, which is the one which I think traditionally is where people have kind of, particularly within our industries, have seen innovation typically come from, so probably needs the least explanation. So it would be very hard to talk about innovation, and particularly innovation at pace, without covering the impact of AI. So apologies for the obligatory AI slides. So thinking about this people, product, process, and platform again, actually what AI has done is it has intrinsically decoupled technology, or actually integrated itself, the technology, into it, the people, the product, and the process. So it's no longer the case that the platform is the full and final enabler for technical innovation, Because actually with the dawn of ChatGPT and people being able to be more efficient with the emails at this end, being able to, pardon me, reference ideas, verify assumptions, thoughts, theories, or being able to perhaps generate concept art or any of the myriad of things which the recent developments in artificial intelligence have allowed us to do, as well as looking at process improvements such as demand planning or forecasting or something like that. All of these things suddenly that are core fundamentals to these top 3 points. And actually what they're doing is it's meaning that technology is kind of truly embedded itself throughout all aspects of the transformation, whereas previously they weren't. It was always down to the tech team to keep providing new tools. And now, like I say, with the accessibility of AI, is actually, it's there already. So in that way, the nature of change is changing. And if there's one thing that you take away today, I would employ it, it would be this slide, because something that I've found certainly over the last 6 to 12 months is that actually people's ambition for change has changed in a positive way. People's understanding of what it means to change has changed, and many more besides. So, quick case study on driving innovation at pace is, so on bulk.com, we've recently launched a new website. Our whole point around it was to get faster page load speed. It was a massive problem for our customers. And why did we do this? So thinking back to the crossover between emerging tech and customers, actually it was because we knew that all of our website customers would benefit from this. So for us, it's a really logical thing to do. There's no vanity in the project. There's nothing like that. What it is it was a big change that we could make to really, really drive benefit to a vast majority of our customers. Then one from my previous life, in my previous role as Aspiration Studio CTO, is actually a project to remove the liability of physical ownership on high-value investment items. So we use some blockchain technology to do this, particularly centered around NFTs. And actually, this one has a more complex model, which you're going to hate to look at because it was meant to have animations. So, wow, welcome to the party, ladies and gentlemen. So, essentially, we have customers. Now, the emerging tech, in this instance, actually had a very, very, very small crossover with the existing customers because we had a very aging demographic. So, actually, what we did is we got a load of new customers, and that was the idea of the project behind the emerging tech. So, in the bulk, the bulk.com example, very, very simple model. It was, what can we do to make the experience better for all of our customers? We look at site speed, we put the edge delivery services in, and we end up with this super fast site. In this one, it was a very different objective, and both of those projects, by the way, could get an entire 40-minute presentation on their own, if not longer. So actually, you know, in this one, it was really about, I guess, newness all round, and then also passing some of the new customers back into the existing tech, i.e. the traditional stores and the existing product range. So, again, you know, go away today. I would love for you guys to be powered by change. It's something that certainly within my team at Bulk, I really try and instill in every member of the team, and also every team that we come into contact with, is that change is good, and also resolve problems to drive innovation. Don't just drive innovation for innovation's sake. There is nothing worse than vanity projects for a business and a tech strategy or innovation strategy. And there you go. Oh, 1 minute 15, right on time.